talking. I've just been talking and I'm muted. Sorry. I was just saying that it is extremely hot here in Los Angeles. It was 84 today. It's still really, really hot right now. I'm gonna get this thing started in just a second. I'm just waiting on a couple more people to show up on the Zoom, and then we can get started here on the YouTube and I can share these slides. But come on in, come on in. Welcome, welcome. All right, let me share my screen so we can go ahead and get started. I'm just going to make sure that the people on YouTube can see my screen and then I will get this going. I know there's a little delay on the YouTube. Feel free to put anything in the chat if you like. Hello, hello. Okay, yes, they can see. Awesome. There's that little delay. All right, welcome in, welcome in. I am Katrina Robinson, and this is my masterclass on 10xing your income with co-living. So today I'm going to cover the opportunity and the growth and the profit potential, and also how to open your group home in 6 steps. I do have a little cough, but I have some halls sitting here, so hopefully I can get through this. We're going to get through this together. All right. I'm also going to talk to you about how I can help you open a group home in only 6 weeks. So I'm going to give you an invitation to sign up for my startup intensive coaching program. And then I'm also going to do Q&A. But you can relax. I'm actually not going to do the whole sell from stage thing. I'm just going to ask you to book a call. If you're interested, book a call with me, but I'm not going to go into how much it costs and all that other stuff. Just book a call if it's something that you're interested in. So grab something to drink. I have my water sitting here. I really should have some hot tea. And we're going to get right into this. Okay, so first, what is co-living? So I call my program Group Home on Autopilot because I named my program before Texas actually came out with an official definition of what a group home is. And according to the official definition of what a group home is in the state of Texas anyway, is a home, a residential home where you're providing non-medical care. Now, I'm not providing any care whatsoever. So all I'm doing is providing housing. It's independent co-living. So what I have is not even really a group home. What I have is co-living homes. But I have my program named Group Home on Autopilot. And depending on where you are in the country, it might be called a group home, what I do. So my homes are all independent co-living. It's basically where I take a house, and then instead of renting out the entire house, I rent out the house by the room or by the bed within the room. And it's all inclusive. That means utilities are included. So what's the difference between that and assisted living? With assisted living, services are included. And I'm talking medical services and non-medical services. So when you have an assisted living facility, you're providing help with ADLs. ADLs are activities of daily living. When I took the Texas Certified Assisted Living Manager training, I learned all about the ADLs, the toileting, bathing, feeding, medication management. All of that stuff requires certification. So once you start offering help with ADLs, you must be certified. So you have to make sure you're doing everything in accordance with the law for the patient safety. Assisted living has patients, whereas group homes and co-living homes have residents or tenants. If they sign a lease, that is a tenant legally. It's a tenant. I like to use the word resident so that it's kind of ingrained in their minds that I can put them out if they break the house rules. But if they do break the house rules, then I usually have to go through the eviction process because depending on the police officer who comes over, they're going to say this person is a tenant and you have to actually go through the legal process, or they'll say, oh, I see that they didn't actually sign a lease, a formal lease, so they do need to leave because they broke your house rules. So that's something that we get into in my coaching program. So, what about the people who do need help with ADLs, with their activities of daily living, but they cannot afford assisted living? I actually can still house those people. Their help just does not come from my business. Their help comes from an outsourced third party. So a third party provides that help. And this is where home health companies come into play. So medication management, feeding, if they need a helper in any kind of way, sometimes they have health insurance that covers provider hours. If they have insurance that covers provider hours, then they can have a family member come and help them out for a few hours a day. And sometimes I have people who actually have a nurse that's assigned to them. That nurse does not come from my company. That nurse comes from outside, from some other company that is providing them with a nurse. And that nurse can come in and provide them with their medication or whatever they need. So I'm only providing housing. That is strictly what I provide, is housing. When you do have assisted living, you can charge a lot more than what I charge, because what I do is only provide housing. So I'm not charging as much as assisted living, but it's still a really lucrative business to get into. And you're going to see that in the next few slides. I'm going to show you the profit potential of what I do, which is only providing independent housing to people. And then I also get the question sometimes about what's the difference between co-living versus a multifamily property. And people ask me, should I go into multifamily? Should I get a multifamily property to do this type of model? And the thing is, co-living is it's a single family home. It's a single family home where you're renting out the rooms. And the reason is because you actually get a higher return on investment when you do the co-living the way I do it versus doing a multifamily property. You can get better loan options on the co-living house than the multifamily or commercial property. With a co-living house, you can get a fixed interest rate of 30 years because it is the same thing as a single family home. It's just a single family home, but you're renting it out by the bed. And then also with a co-living home, there's lower maintenance costs than a multifamily, because with a co-living home, you have one kitchen, one living room, one plumbing system, one septic system, one electric bill. You have one of everything. Whereas with multifamily, you have multiple of all these things. And then also with co-living, there's less competition. There are many co-living homes, but there's not enough out there to fix the affordable housing crisis. So there is less competition with the co-living home. It's kind of unique. And then lastly, with co-living, you can earn 10 times the amount of a regular rental, which I'm going to show you. Okay, here's the outlook on the business. Excuse me, I do have that little cough. Let's pray that away. I do not want to get sick. Okay, the outlook on the business. So we have the aging baby boomer population. 10,000 baby boomers turn 65 every day. And that's a trend that's actually going to continue through the year 2030. So by 2030, 1 in 5 Americans will be 65 or over. And many of those people are going to need assisted living. They're going to need that supportive housing, but not all of them are going to need full-scale assisted living. Assisted living costs about $4,500 a month, up to $6,000 a month, and sometimes even higher than that, depending on where you are in the country. And that prices out a lot of people. And then, like I said, not everybody needs that full-scale assisted living or nursing home. And many of those people really just need a safe, stable, shared living space. And that's where group homes like mine step in. And the demand for that is really just rising. Then we have the affordable housing crisis. So rent and home prices are just going up. We all can see that. And so shared housing is the only affordable option for a lot of low income adults. Even working professionals, even some working professionals are considering this type of housing. And 55% of low income renters spend more than 30% of their income on housing. So shared housing isn't just about us making more money, it's also solving this housing problem. And cities really need this model. Then there's a decline in private room supply because new construction favors luxury or large scale single family homes, not affordable shared housing. I actually went to a pad split presentation a few months ago, and they presented this statistic that the housing supply we need already exists. They said that 7.3 million affordable homes could be created from only 1% of the current existing housing. And there's already 137 million spare bedrooms in the United States. So as private housing costs rise, room rentals and co-living offers this scalable solution. And landlords who make this pivot into co-living really can benefit. And then lastly, we have the social isolation and mental health. So adults who have mental health challenges or disabilities or substance recovery needs, those people often thrive in these shared living environments because they don't need to be by themselves. So group homes give them the community that they need and not just a roof over their head. So the power in this model is in both the profit and in the purpose. It meets a need for society. And then as far as disability, 1 in 4 adults in the United States lives with a disability or a mental health condition. So when you combine all of these reasons together, you see that co-living and independent group homes are not just a trend. It's something that is really going to grow in the future. So why should you even listen to me? Hi, I'm Katrina Robinson. I have Roundtable Living, which is a co-living business in San Antonio, Texas. I have 3 group homes or co-living homes in Texas, but I actually live in Los Angeles, California. So I teach people how to open and operate their co-living homes for a profit. And then also I teach them how to focus on working on the business and not in the business so that they can also operate it remotely if they want to. Excuse me. So I opened up my homes and people started asking me to help them to open up their own homes. So now that's what I do. Now I help future group home operators to start and run their own group homes so that they can create these profitable, but also purpose-driven businesses without feeling overwhelmed in the process. So how did I get into this? 5 years ago, I was looking for a side hustle that would bring me the most profit, but with the least amount of work. I am used to hard work. I was in the military for 6 years. I've been to war. I've seen the world. I did all that, but I really just wanted to live my best life in California. So, and I've always loved real estate. So I went to an assisted living in-person training. Back then, I think it was like $4,000. It was in 2020. And I learned a lot. It was right before the pandemic. I learned a lot and I was fired up. I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do assisted living. So found out in that training that I needed to become certified. So I went through the Certified Assisted Living Manager Training, CALM, CALM, went through the CALM training for the state of Texas. And then I was this close to buying an existing assisted living business when unfortunately I lost my sister. She passed away in 2020 and I got custody of her 2 daughters. So at that point, I did not want the responsibility of having an assisted living house because I knew I would need a cook and a nurse on payroll. So I pulled out of the deal because I just didn't want the stress of having to make sure I can pay these people and that all the elderly people were being taken care of and all that. So I pulled out of the deal during that process when I could pull out. And I was really sad about it. I was devastated because that's what I wanted to do. And I was fired up about it. But then a friend of mine asked me, why don't you pivot into independent living? Why don't you do unlicensed independent? I had never heard about that before. And when she said unlicensed, I thought illegal. I was like, that's not right. You can't do that because unlicensed is illegal. But it turns out that unlicensed just means unlicensed. It means you do not need a license because you're not providing any licensed care. So when I finally decided I'm going to do this, I bought a property in Texas and it was a complete fixer. It was really bad. So it was like raining inside of the house. The foundation was bad. The roof was, everything was bad. So I cashed out my retirement so that I could renovate this house. It was a humongous house. It was 5 bedrooms, but 2 of the 5 bedrooms were the size of 2 rooms each. So cashed out my retirement, renovated that house, and I opened my first independent co-living home. After I did that, I had this newfound confidence. Like I had bet on myself and it paid off. And I was like, I'm never looking back. I'm going to open up more of these. And so that's what I did. All right, let's go to the next. Okay, now let's look at the profit potential. Uh-oh, did I just skip? I did. Uh-oh, let me go back. Okay, so let's look at the profit potential. So a typical single family residential home profits about $200 a month. So let's make it simple math and say $2,000 is what you're renting out the house for, and your mortgage on that house is $1,800. Excuse me. So your mortgage is $1,800 and you profit $200. So now let's turn that same house into a co-living house. And let's say it's a 4-bedroom house. Okay, so now if you have a 4-bedroom house, you put 2 beds in each room, that's a total of 8 beds. And let's say you're charging $500 a month for each bed. Let me move this. $500 a month for each bed. That is gross $4,000 a month because that's shared rooms in a 4-bedroom house. So if you compare $200 to $2,000, what is that? If you compare, I don't know why it wants to stop on me. Okay, there we go. That's 10x. If you compare 200 with 2,000, that is 10x. So now let's take a more realistic number. Actually, a realistic number would be more like $650 a month for a bed in a shared room, depending on where you are in the country. But let's say 600. So 8 beds times $600 a month. That is $4,800 gross. Remember, that's shared rooms in a 4-bedroom house. Oops. So you're actually more than 10x. It's more than 10x there. So let's go to something that's a little more realistic and let's say 650. Let's say 650 a month. So if you have 8 beds times $650 a month, that's $5,200 gross. But I did say we are covering the utilities. So you're covering gas, electric, water, and the internet. But even if you deduct the cost of the utilities in this model, you are still bringing in 10 times the amount of a regular single family home. When I opened my first house, it had the one that I cashed out my retirement for. It had 15 beds total because I did all shared rooms and 2 of the rooms were double sized. So 15 beds total. I started out charging $560 per bed. If you take 15 times 560, that's $8,400. My mortgage was about $2,000. And then deduct another $1,000 for utilities. And I ended up profiting over $5,000 a month. That is on one property, $5,000 a month on one property, not on a full-time job, on a property that I manage almost passively. Now, you might be thinking, I don't want the headache of dealing with that many people's issues. Excuse me. And I totally get it. I don't want the headache either. So that's why I outsourced my headache. And I ended up hiring an operations manager to deal with the people. And that's the autopilot part that I teach you in my program. I show you how to find and hire an operations manager. He gets a cut of the money and I'm still making money. And I actually foresee more working class people moving into co-living, like I said before, as a way to reduce their living costs. So when you're marketing towards these working class people, you can charge more. They probably will not want to share a bedroom, but maybe they'll pay $1,100 for a private room that includes utilities. And again, what you can charge depends on where you are in the country. Now, let me just pause for a second to make sure that I don't have any questions coming in. Nope. Okay. Let's move it on. Okay, so you are on this call for a reason. You're ready to bet on you, just like I was ready to bet on me when I cashed out my retirement and I renovated that house and put the 15 beds in there. I was ready to bet on myself, and it paid off. I started making $5,000 a month on that house, and then I stacked up my money and I bought a second house and then a third. So, what is your why? Do you want? Oh, I feel a sneeze coming. Sorry, guys. I need to blow out my candle too. This is live. Okay. Excuse me. You're on this call for a reason. So what is your why? Do you want more money? Do you want more time freedom? Is it more family time that you want? Maybe at the end of the month, there's more month left than money. Maybe you want to make a difference in the affordable housing crisis. You want financial security. Maybe you want the tax benefits of having a legit business, or you want to enjoy your work instead of dreading work. Or maybe you already have a side hustle that's just too hands on for you. Or maybe you have a rental property that's bringing in that little $200, that cute little $200 a month. Maybe you want to 10x that. So what is your why? I want you to think about that. And then also take a minute to think about the vision that you have for your life a year from now, 3 years from now, and 5 years from now. And how would having an extra $2,000 a month change your life? That's with one house. With one house, I want my coaching clients to get at least $2,000 a month profit. And with what I teach you in my coaching program, you will easily have more than one house. You're going to want to open up a second house and a third house. Okay, so here's the system. If you want to take a screenshot of this system, please do. This is what you came for. This is how you open your group home in 6 steps. And how do I know this works? Because I've used this exact model to open all 3 of my group homes. And I'm about to show you on the next slide, my client, Kenya, who signed a lease on her property. She does not own the property. She signed a lease on her property during week 3. And then during week 6 of my 6-week coaching program, she had her open house. And at her open house, she filled 5 of her 9 beds. And she does not own this house. This is a rental property. Excuse me. So that is Kenya's property that she rented out. She does not own that house. That house is a rental. A lot of people think that you cannot do this business model unless you own the property. You do not have to own the property. Most of my coaching clients do not own their houses. They rent the house, and then they just make sure that they have ability to sublease. So they find a willing landlord, and then they sublease the house to other people. Okay, so the first step in the 6-step process to open your group home is mindset. It's to get your mind right. You need positivity, determination. You need a CEO mindset. And the CEO mindset is strategic, decisive, and growth oriented. It's all about using a calendar, outsourcing the things that you don't need to do on your own, and being obsessed with your win, whatever your win is. And also thinking, who can do that for me? And how can I pay for a shortcut? It's about systems, not reinventing the wheel. With every task that I do, I ask myself, how can I not ever do that again, especially if it's something I don't want to do? How can I never do that again? Or how can I make it easier for myself for the next time? And that's a CEO mindset. And then step two is setting up the business. This is where you do the market research, the legal aspects, tracking expenses and the census, your business plan. Now, for your market research, I want you to research two things. You need to look up the cost of properties in your area, whether you're renting or buying. And then the second thing is you need to know the cost of a bed in your area, whether it's in a private room or a semi-private room. Semi-private means shared. So if it's a private room or a shared room, you need to know the cost of a bed in your area, in the area where you're going to open your house. Now, for the legal aspects, you don't have to set up an LLC because you are essentially just a landlord. Excuse me. But when you get an LLC, now you are a legit business owner, and now you can take advantage of tax breaks. Again, you do not have to get an LLC because you're just a landlord, but I want you to get an LLC. And you can get a lawyer to do that for you. That's paying for a shortcut. Or you can use LegalZoom, Taylor Brands, Busy. There's all these other places that you can go to get your LLC set up very easily. The biggest tax breaks and deductions are not for employees. The biggest tax breaks are for business owners. That's why you need to go legit and get your business set up. And when you set up your business the right way, you can write off your equipment, your phone, your laptop, your home office, even your business travel. When I travel to check on my 3 group homes that are in San Antonio, Texas, from Los Angeles, where I live, that entire trip is a tax deduction. You can also deduct expenses that you are already paying for. For example, my internet. So I have internet at my house, of course, but it's a tax deduction for me because I run my business off my internet. I was going to pay for internet anyway. Of course, I was going to pay for internet. But because I run a business from my laptop, from home, now my home internet is a tax deduction. Now, I am not an accountant, so you should talk to your accountant. But what I do in my coaching program is share everything with you that I've learned in setting up this business in the 5 years that now it's almost 6 years that I've been running this business. So like I said, you can deduct expenses that you're already paying for. You can also qualify for 100% depreciation on certain things like computers and cars. So on your vehicle, again, I'm not an accountant, check with your accountant, but you can qualify for 100% depreciation on your car if you're using your car for your business. Now, I live in Los Angeles and my homes are in Texas. So I can't justify having a car for my business because I'm not using my car to go and check on my houses. So I can't take advantage of that tax break. But if my houses were in the same city as I was in or within driving distance, I definitely would slap my logo on the side of my car and have 100% depreciation on my vehicle for my business. You can also access special tax credits that are only available to businesses. So all of that is money back in your pocket, but only if you know how to take advantage of that money back in your pocket. All right, step 3 is getting the house. Step 3 is getting the house. So you need to identify a house that is good for this type of business. And what kind of house is good for this type of business? At least 4 bedrooms. Make sure that the house you get is at least 4 bedrooms. If you own the house, you can put up walls. So like say if you have an extra room that's a den or a formal dining room and a regular dining room, you can put up a wall and make another bedroom. So ask yourself those questions. I also recommend no carpet and no pool, just for liability reasons with the no pool. No carpet, it's for cleanliness because it'll just get really dirty with all those people and all that traffic. Excuse me. Also, make sure it's in a nice enough neighborhood, okay? It doesn't need to be an A-level neighborhood. I don't want it to be in an A-level neighborhood. It needs to be more like a C-level neighborhood where everybody is minding their own business and not in your business. You don't want to get a house that's in a homeowners association. Not that it's illegal to run this type of house, it's not, but they'll just make your life harder. So don't get a house within an HOA. Also, depending on the demographics of your residents, you may need parking for multiple cars. My residents don't have cars. Of the 28 beds that I have, I think 2 of my people have cars. Make sure that your house is close to public transportation. Oh, did I just? Nope. Make sure your house is close to public transportation. Interesting layouts are good. You know how in the new thing is open concept. It's actually kind of going out now, but open concept, not for this business. The more walls, the better in this business. The more bathrooms, the better. The more walls, the better. No HOA, like I said. HOA is like, have you ever heard of NIMBY? Not in my backyard. People in areas with HOA, they like the NIMBY thing, not in my backyard. I don't want that type of house or those type of people in my neighborhood. They'll just give you a hard time. Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968 is called the Fair Housing Act. Most of the time, your residents will be protected by the Fair Housing Act. Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, it is the Fair Housing Act. So if the HOA gives you a hard time and you have to go to court, you will win, but you don't want to. Who wants to do that? You don't want to go to court. You don't want to battle a HOA. So just don't get a house in a neighborhood with an HOA. And like I said, you can do this business in a rental. You do not have to buy the house to do this business. What you do is you contact landlords, and I have a script that I give you in my coaching program. I tell you how to contact the landlords and ask them if you can do this business out of their house. You get the house, you set up the house. So if you are buying the house, let's talk about that, like funding it. Let's talk about that real quick, funding the house. If you're going to buy the house, there are a lot of ways that you can get the house. You can do a conventional bank loan. Now, if it's not your primary residence, you're probably going to need to put 20% down. If it is your primary residence, that means you're going to live in it. You're going to live in one of the rooms and then rent out the rest. That is called house hacking. Then you could probably put down 3% or 0% if you're a veteran like I am. You can find local lenders. You can do the VA loan, like I just mentioned, do the 0% down. There's also DSCR loans. That's debt service coverage ratio loans. That kind of loan measures a business's or a property's cash flow relative to its debt obligation. So if you can find a lender who you can show that you're going to be making this amount of money on this house, but the debt, meaning the mortgage, is only this amount, but you're going to be making this amount, then you might be able to get a really good loan, a DSCR loan on the house based on the income of the house. Another way is you could use OPM. You could use other people's money. You could raise money to get this house. There's also creative financing. So you could do a seller finance situation. If somebody has a house, it's for sale by owner, and you want to do like a lease to own situation, you could do that. Excuse me. Oh, I'm trying not to cough, but talking is making me cough. I do not want to come down with something. I'm always sick during the wintertime, even though it's 84 degrees here. Okay. Creative financing. Oh, and then there's also subject to loans. There's also partnerships. So the partnership, you bring the knowledge to the table and then have somebody else bring the money to the table. That's another way to do this. Okay. Sorry, just go backwards. There we go. Let me just double check, see if we have any questions right quick. Nope. Nope. Okay, cool. All right, marketing. This is the most important step. If you don't fill the beds, then you don't have a business. So, how do you find the right residents? You connect with caseworkers, placement agents, and directly with people who need housing. You can do background checks if you want to. When I started out, I did not do background checks at all. But now that I have an operations manager, he has some kind of subscription or membership to a background check situation. So he does background checks on people. I also teach you about the marketing materials, how to do a $50 open house event, how to do 1 year of emails in 1 day. You want to list on all available platforms. In my coaching program, I show you 101 ways to fill your beds. So if you think you can find 8 people in your chosen city who are willing to share a room and pay one low, all inclusive rate for their monthly rent, you will succeed in this business. So we've covered 4 of the 6 steps to opening your group home. And I'm explaining at a very surface level right now, but I know that somebody in this masterclass probably wants to dive deeper. So before we move on to the last 2 steps, I'm going to take a couple of minutes to share how I serve people on a deeper level in my coaching program. Okay, so here is my coaching program. It is Group Home on Autopilot Startup Intensive. And it may not be for you. It may not be for everybody in here, but it might be perfect for somebody who's watching. So all of this that I'm teaching you would be easier if you had a mentor and if you had checklists, templates, and somebody to hold you accountable. Somebody who's been there, who's done that, and still doing it. And so it would benefit you to have exactly what you need to do every day to teach you how to open and operate your profitable group home in 6 weeks. Imagine 6 weeks from now, you have a property business on the side that profits you an extra $2,000 a month for you and your family. And the business changes lives and it helps people with the affordable housing crisis. And you have more time and energy for the things that matter most to you. So that's what my coaching program helps with. It's designed to help you get from A to Z in only 6 weeks. And it's a blueprint. It's strategy, system, structure, and accountability. And on this slide shows you what you get with my coaching program. You get the workbook, templates, checklists, scripts, personalized accountability, feedback, strategy, direct access to me, I've launched multiple group homes. And you also get a custom master to-do list built around your timeline and your goals. And you get lifetime access to the Group Home on Autopilot online course. So who is my program for? I won't read you the slide, but if you meet any of this criteria, that's who my program is for. So there was a study done by the American Society of Training and Development. They said that if you write down your goal and you don't mention it to anybody, that you're not likely to reach your goal. But when you announce your goal to a coach or to a trusted friend, now you're 65% more likely to reach your goal. When you give a weekly progress report to a coach or a friend, you are 95% more likely to achieve your goal. So it's really important to have that support system and have accountability to reach your goal. Excuse me. All right, here's some false beliefs. So I need to own a house to have a group home. I've already covered that one. You do not need to own the house. Remember my client, Kenya, how I showed you, she does not own that house. Also in my network, there's a business that I know of that specializes in finding properties and willing landlords just for this model, just for co-living and group homes. That's how you pay for a shortcut. Also, I've heard homeless people don't have income. Most of the people who I house receive Social Security or VA income. They just don't have enough money to get their own place. Also, a lot of just working class people are considering co-living now too. My residents are on Social Security and other welfare. Okay, running a group home will be a full-time job. Not the way I teach it. I focus on efficiencies and working on the business and not in the business. And I teach you also how to pay for shortcuts. And then lastly, I won't be able to fill the beds. I teach you how to fill the beds. I give you 101 ways to fill your beds. And like the client I showed you, Kenya, she filled 5 of her 9 beds in 1 week, the week that she opened with her open house event. And if you think you can find the people to fill the beds, you will. If you think you cannot find the people to fill the beds, you will not find the people to fill your beds. Okay, here are a couple of my client success stories. So Kenya is one of them. Janice is another. I have a few more, but I just put these 2 on the slide here. So it's really important that you have accountability. If you've been watching trainings and taking notes, but not taking action, you need to find your accountability partner. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It doesn't have to be me. It just somebody who you can ask, like, that will ask you, did you do what you said you were going to do? And somebody that's going to hold you accountable. So if any of that sounded good to you, I want you to book a call with me. I know it's kind of a long link right there. I'm going to put it in, if I can, I'm going to put it in the chat. Can I? Let me see if I can. Copy link. Let's see if I can put it in the chat for you. No, that didn't work. Okay, I'm going to put it in the chat for you in just a second. And then we're going to get right back to the other, the last 2 steps in the process. Give me 1 second and I will put it in the chat box. Okay, where's my Zoom? There it is. Okay, let's get back to this. Excuse me. Okay. So let's get back to the steps, the 6 steps. So we've talked about mindset. We talked about setting up the business, getting the house, and marketing. But what about the day-to-day? That is module 5 of my coaching program, which is operations. That's the intake, the setting expectations and the house rules, and the common challenges, and then also ways to collect rent. So there are different ways to collect rent, and they're all at different levels of risk. There's private pay, a family member could pay. You could have the person go through a representative payee. You could become the representative payee, or you can get paid directly from a sponsoring organization. So you choose what payments you will accept. I use a tenant management system called Rent Ready, and it has auto pay and payment reminders built in. So you can also pay for a shortcut when it comes to all these operations, the SOPs and all that. And you can go with a coaching program like with mine. I've already documented all of the operations, the house rules, the intake questionnaire, the lease, the house signs, all of that is already included in my coaching program. So, and also I have a self-paced online course too. So if you don't want the one-on-one coaching and you want a more affordable option, I have just a self-paced online course where you log in and you take the course as whenever you have time to take the course, and you still have access to all the templates, scripts, checklists, everything. So now that you've got the house open and you filled the beds and you're pocketing money every month, now what? Now we need to scale it. We need to turn this into a well-oiled machine and scale it so you can open up your next house. So let's get to the top of the pyramid and what makes my program different from every other program that's out there. Okay, step 6 is the autopilot part. This is scaling. So once you get through all the hard knocks and the learning curve of opening your first house, you're going to fill it and you're going to be ready for the next one. But how do you do this? And how do you do this remotely? I teach you, I give you my toolkit. So these are all of the resources and the tools that make my life easier. I give you a full list of the tools that I use and how I use them to make this the easiest and the best and the most profitable side hustle ever. I teach you my weekly and my monthly actions. And I also show you how to hire an operations manager. You want to hire another you. You want to hire somebody who can handle the dealing with the people. If that's not your strong suit, it's not mine. I'd rather work on the business than deal with the people. So you can decide on the operations manager going to do this and I'm going to do this. So I teach you what to look for, how to find them, how to train them, and how to pay the operations manager. I also teach you how to handle accounting in a very systemized way. So this is the end of the presentation. I've covered all of the steps that you need, the 6 steps to take you from A to Z and to open your own profitable group home. I hope you've gotten something out of this masterclass. And again, here is the link to book a call. I did put it in the chat. If this training resonated with you, book a call with me. It's free. Just book a call with me and I can talk to you about my different coaching options that I have. And before I let you go, I'm going to go to Q&A though. But before I let you go, I want to tell you this story that I heard from one of the coaching gurus that I follow. She was telling us a story about this guy, W. Clement Stone. He was best friends with Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill is the guy that wrote Think and Grow Rich. So W. Clement Stone was this self-made billionaire with a B. He was a billionaire a long time ago. And he was famous for saying this phrase over and over. And that's how he got to his billions. He would say, do it now. He would say, do it now 100 times a day. He lived in a high rise and he would say it 100 times in the elevator by the time the elevator hit the first floor. He understood that the enemy of wealth is delay. Successful people make decisions quickly. The guru I'm talking about that I heard this from, her name is Eileen Wilder, and she has this saying, procrastination is the assassination of your destination. And that really resonated with me. And I was like, oh, I got to write that down. That is awesome. Procrastination is the assassination of your destination. Who's tired of procrastinating? If you're tired of procrastinating, I know that I've seen names on here that have attended my masterclass over and over again. Do it. Just do it now. It's time. Now is the time to take that leap. Now is the time to start your business. When is it a good time to start making more money? Now. The only limitations that exist are in your mind. And also the easiest way to help poor people is to not be one of them. Broke people cannot help broke people. So if this is your 5th, 6th, I'm not going to call any names, but if this is your 5th time watching my masterclass and attending it live, go ahead and book that call and go ahead and sign up. So this is the end of my masterclass. And in closing, I want you to think back to that vision that you have for your life. Where do you see yourself 1 year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? I want to help you get there. If you're still here watching, then something is resonating with you. So use the link in the chat to start your coaching. Go ahead and book that call with me. And thanks for joining my party tonight. I'm going to end the slideshow, but I will stay on for a couple minutes to see if there are any Q&A. So let me stop this and check to see if there's any questions in the chat. I don't see any. I don't see any questions in the chat. So I'm going to go ahead and wait, let me double check. Make sure. Nope. Okay. Have a great night. I will see you, I think, next week. I think I'll be live again next week. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.